my fellow oil painters. My name is Gabby and I'm a wet oil painter. I'm going to do a lesson today on how to paint some single strands of grass. I'm going to do another lesson later on how to do like bigger patches of grass, but for today we're just going to stick with single blades of grass, cattails and seagrass and stuff like that. So in order to do that, we need to have two things. We need to have a good script brush, and we need to have a good wet canvas with good wet paint, both on our brush and on our canvas. So first we'll talk quickly about what good script brushes or liner brushes are. So a liner brush looks like this. And of course that doesn't work very well. So a good liner brush looks like this. It's long and very narrow. There are lots of different sizes. This one is much thicker. So it has the length, but with it being really thick, unless you're doing really, really big pieces of grass, it doesn't work very well. I prefer to either use my Princeton Aspen, and they're my favorite oil painting brushes, or a manicurist brush. So you can find these at like places that sell beauty supplies, and you can also find them online. I found a set of these on Amazon for like, I don't know, $7. You just want them to be really, really thin and really, really long. Within reason, obviously you wouldn't want something with that long of a bristle. So another type of liner brush that you will find that are much more common actually are liner brushes like this. So they're really thin, but they're short, and you don't really get a good snap on it, so it doesn't work really well for grass. So those are the brushes. Now I'm going to show you the technique of how to maneuver your brush to get a nice grass motion. So I'm going to use this black thing here, and I have my brush. Now the motion that you use is you start from the bottom and you come up, and as you come up you have pressure at first and then you lift off of the canvas, and you want to do it in a fast motion. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to start hard and then come up hard and then take your brush off. That works great for fence posts. It does not work great for grass because grass naturally gets narrower as it goes up. So pressure and then fling it up, almost like you're trying to fling an ant off of your paper with your brush or something. Okay? So that's the motion that we use to do this. So here on the canvas, I already have a liquid white. So we're going to work on that. In order to get my paint to stick onto my canvas, this needs to be wet enough, and my paint needs to be the consistency of ink, like India ink. So I'm going to get this wet, and then I'm going to show you guys the brush. Now, in order to get the paint on the brush, you roll it. That keeps your bristles together and it coats them really well. So right now I have a good consistency of ink. So this over here, that's too thick. It's gobby, it's clumpy, it's too thick. Now, that is too thin. You can see it running right down the palette. Now, if it runs or if it wicks into your canvas, then it is too thin. So consistency, number one thing. Now when you start this and your canvas is wet enough and your brush is wet enough, then you should come up with this nice, beautiful blades of grass. Now I'm using just a regular canvas. Again, it's got liquid white on it. And you can do this as well. Once I'm done with this, I will be wiping this out and I will show you that process. Now this blade right here is almost too thin because it's like the paint looks like it's separating out. So push up and fling off. and a lot of paint on your brush when you're doing this. If I do this and I have too much liquid, I will take a paper towel to my brush and I will just hold the corner of my brush onto the paper towel, and it will take some of that paint thinner off. So to get your paint this thin, you need paint thinner to do this. And the only paint thinner that I use is called Gamsol. Gamsol, it's made by the Gamblin Company, and they make a really good paint thinner. It's not highly flammable and it has no scent whatsoever. I recommend it to anybody who paints. You can use turpentine or other paint thinners, however, they are not good for you and they are highly flammable. Now, if we want to get like a little bit of a curve on this, we start to bring our wrist in a circular motion, and it will give us a curve in our grass. Now, if you don't pick it up fast enough, you'll end up with big circles like I have. Not that that's a big problem if you have those. I just kind of blend them in when I have them. But if you can avoid big circles, it's good. It's that motion though, it's a round circle motion. And then you have this nice, really delicate tip onto your grass. Now that we have this grass, I'm going to show you some stuff that we can do with it. So in order to get some nice detail on top of that grass, we're going to start by making cattails. So to do that, I'm going to use a mole stick. Not really a mole stick, this is just a paintbrush. And I'm going to rest the paintbrush on the canvas. Now when you do this, you would actually rest it on the edge of your canvas or the side of your easel. But I'm going to rest it on the middle of the picture because I don't need to worry about damaging my picture. And this will steady your hand, so you won't have to worry about having shaky motions when you're doing this little detail work. And you can do this with any little detail work. So to do a cattail, we're going to start at the top. You push a little bit harder than you did with your grass, and then you stop. I have many times done cattails, because I love doing cattails, and I'll do them, and then I look at them and I'm like, that's just not thick enough for a cattail. So then I'm like, okay, we need to make this cattail thicker. Now the problem with that is if you overwork, say, your cattail, instead of it looking natural, it won't look natural, and it'll end up looking like a big fat sausage on a stick. And cattails just aren't big fat sausages on sticks. So try to keep it really simple. It's a full start, so hard on the canvas, and a full stop. So you keep the pressure consistent as you come down the cattail. Let's do some kind of ornamental grasses. So on this one, I'm going to do some sort of seagrass. You can do this, I start off of the stalk, and I like to do it on these curvy ones because seagrass likes to hang. And I just make little dots and I work my way up the grass. I'm going to try to do this a little bit bigger so you guys can see this better. So I start off and I work my way up. And then if you want to put in more dots, you can. You can also do that dots, but where you kind of pull down as you work your way up the grass. You can also do grasses where you kind of feather off the top. Or you have them hang off one side of the grass. And that motion again is the on the canvas and then flinging your brush off. So that's basically it. You just do the whipping with the grass, and then you do detail on the top if you want to have some details. And then, like I said, you can just do this on a canvas, and then when you're done, you can just take some paint thinner and you can just wipe it out. Now, I suggest before you actually hit a piece of artwork that you get practice in and you get really good at that. And then once you hit your real pieces of work, you'll be surprised at how well that grass will turn out. So get lots of practice, and then when you're done, you can just wipe it right out with some paint thinner, and then once this dries, you can paint over the top of it. So that's basically it. Get yourself a good liner brush, make sure your paint is thin enough, and then give it lots of practice before you actually do your work, and you'll be really satisfied with how things turn out in the long run. Until next time, I'm Gabby. Happy painting!